Well, Year 12 students around the country are facing their final exams. It's a time of intense stress and anxiety for both students and their families.
Happily, exam time will end, but what's next then? To tell us more, we're joined by Karen Gately, founder of Corporate Dojo. Karen, thanks so much for being here. I want to touch a couple of things with you. Let's begin with exam stress and your sort of tips for any young people who might be watching who are freaking out about how they can calm down, collect their thoughts and get through it.
Yeah, look, I think the number one advice here is, let's try and keep this stage of your life in perspective. It's clearly important that you give it your best shot, that you strive to achieve the results that you want to. But the simple reality is there are lots of decisions you'll make down the track, in terms of your career. There's lots of opportunities to change paths, to, study further things, to be able to do what you really want to do. So, again, at this point in the year, you've done the work, hopefully, and all you can now do is just focus on being at your best and understand that, again, it's not the end of the world. It's just one step in your career.
Yeah, and one of the good pieces of advice that you give to young people is just to practice a little bit of mindfulness. You don't have to meditate or anything, but just being aware of your thoughts and not getting too hung up about things that can wait until tomorrow. I remember doing the HSC, and which is now called the ATAR, and sort of being told that actually the best thing I can do sometimes to solve a problem for tomorrow is not to worry about it now and just to go to sleep and to be well rested enough and have enough faith that, I'll get to it when I need to.
Exactly right. And there's lots of ways we can do that, because obviously it can seem easy to say, just, put it out of your mind. But if there are things that are worrying you, you can do things like write it down on a piece of paper and promise yourself you'll worry about it tomorrow. As you're pointing out, getting some sleep and, not spending too much time in your mind thinking about all the things that can go wrong is clearly going to help you to be calm, to be focused. So you're right, just tune into your thinking. If you're hearing those internal voices telling you that, you might fail or this is really difficult or what happens if I do, just observe those fears and recognise that they're not serving you. And, again, as you've said, the more you can put those out of your mind and focus on positive things that are energising, that are confidence building, the more that's going to help you.
And I appreciate that some of your recommendations for what young people can do to relieve stress is physical movement, fresh air, sunshine, laughter, listening to music or listening to talkback radio. So if you're in Sydney and you want to listen to the Drive program on ABC Radio Sydney on Monday and Tuesday, you'll be able to hear my dulcet tones calming you down during the exam season. So excellent advice, ABC Radio all the way. Let's talk now, Karen, about the ways that young people can get jobs. What are some of the tips, just looking beyond when the exams finish? They're going to be thrust out into this world of even more complexity than school life gave them. What should they be focusing on?
Well, we'll start with, who you know. As a lot of people talk about, networking and tapping into, who's in your network. But, obviously at this stage of life, you may not have a lot of people that can tap into or help you to tap into jobs, but asking your parents, asking your extended family, talking to people about what opportunities are out there is one way of going about doing that. I think if you're going to be looking online for jobs, then I think it's, really important to be targeted. What am I looking for? Why do I want to do this job? And really understanding what you can actually bring to that employer, so that when you do get an opportunity to talk to them or go for an interview, that it's not just any old job that you're applying for. You've got a really good idea of, why this is the right next step for you. So again, it's about just getting out there and talking to a lot of different people, putting your hand up, throwing your hat into the ring and giving it a go.
And one piece of advice that you give that I like is to write a list of things that you're actually good at. Because I know that if you're 18 years old and you're looking for a job, you can often focus on, that's the job that I want, so what can that job get for me, or what can this job do for me, or what can that job do for me? If you flip it and think, well, what can I do for that job? How can I sell myself, and what are my real attributes, and what do I really love doing? Then it might be an easier way to think about it.
That's exactly right. Because again, the employer, obviously is looking for not only skill sets, but they're also looking for the right type of person. So your character is incredibly important. And if you do have a really good understanding of what your strengths are and you can communicate that with confidence, again, the employer is more likely to see you as someone that's going to come in and, again, just get stuck in and love the job and therefore, be more likely to do a good job. So again, it can be easy to focus on what we don't have in terms of experience experience or skills, but we're entirely better off, you know, again, as you pointed out, turning our minds to, well, what are my gifts? What are my strengths? And, you know, if it's hard to figure out what those things are, reflect on when you've been really happy, reflect on when you've actually done a good job, whether that's at school or outside of school. And also talk to other people. What do they observe, you know, about the things that you're naturally good at? And then start to look for jobs that might align with who you are as a person.
Karen Gately from Corporate Dojo, thanks so much for filling us in.
Thank you.